Lagos Talks
91.3.
News.
President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday met with His Royal Majesty King Charles III in Buckingham Palace. While the reason for the meeting was not clear, both leaders expectedly discussed bilateral relations and how the United Kingdom can help Nigeria in the fight against terrorism. President Buhari is in the UK for a medical checkup. He left Nigeria on October 31st. Meanwhile, President Buhari has congratulated 8 Nigerian Americans on their victory during the midterm elections in the United States. In a statement signed by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, the president was quoted to have prayed for a successful tenure for the Nigerians. In Georgia State, Shegun Adeyina, Gab Okoye, Solomon Adesoya, Tish Nagishe, and Phil Olaleye won their legislative seats as state representatives in their districts. Similarly, Carol Kazim won the Pennsylvania state representative in District 159. Esther Agbaje was re-elected as Minnesota state representative in District 59B, while Dr. Oye Owolewa was re-elected to the U.S. House of Representatives shadow representative in Washington, D.C. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company, the NNPC Limited, on Wednesday says it discovered 295 illegal connections to its pipeline. NNPC Group Chief Executive Officer Mele Kyari at a Legislative Transparency and Accountability Summit in Abuja said as a result of oil theft, production equally came down to about 1.1 million barrels from 1.8 million about January of last year. The summit was organized by the House of Representatives Anti-Corruption Committee with the theme Enhancing Transparency and Accountability in the Oil and Gas Sector. Ahead of the 2023 general elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has again assured Nigerians that data on the Bimodal Voters Accreditation System (BVAS) will be secured and not compromised. Speaking yesterday, the Deputy Director of ICT INEC, Lawrence Bayode, also noted that the BVAS would not be hacked on election day. According to him, after the poll, when the data is transmitted to the Commission's back-end server, the data in transit will be secured, adding that the data will also remain secured when it eventually reaches the back-end server. This assurance comes amid concerns about possible hacking of the BVAS during next year's elections. The Borno State Police Command has debunked the news making rounds on an attack on the convoy of the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, Atiku Abubakar. This was coming after a PDP chieftain, Dino Melaye, reportedly said Atiku's convoy was attacked when the former vice president was disembarking the venue of the rally in Borno State on Wednesday, adding that over 100 vehicles were allegedly vandalized by hoodlums from different political parties and about 74 persons hospitalized. The State Police PRO, ASP Sani Shatambaya, while addressing newsmen on Wednesday, said the news of the purported attack on Atiku Abubakar's convoy was not only fake but a false and mischievous attempt at confusing Nigerians. Benue State Governor Samuel Otom has apologized to Nigerians over his comments, which were viewed as anti-Fulani. Otom, while hosting aggrieved governors of the PDP under the umbrella of G5 governors comprising Nyesom Wike of Rivers, Okeze Piazu of Abia State, Seyi Makinde of Oyo, and Ifeanyi Ogwai of Enugu at the government house in Makurdi, had lamented last week's killing of 18 people in his local government, cursing out anyone who supports Atiku Abubakar. However, speaking when the G5 governors paid a visit to the Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed on Wednesday at the Ramat House, Otom had said he was sorry for all who felt offended by his comments. The G5 had pledged to support Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed to secure a second term in the 2023 general elections. The Minister of Agriculture, Mohammed Abubakar, says the federal government is working towards bringing down food price inflation in Nigeria. Agriculture and Rural Development Minister Mohammed Abubakar, who made this known while speaking with newsmen at the end of the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting presided by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the Presidential Villa in Abuja, said that the rise in food prices was not peculiar to Nigeria, but a global issue caused mainly by climate change and the Russia-Ukraine war.
One of the things is to make sure, first of all, that there is food in the country, supply and demand. That's why we are making sure that we'll do the dry season farming. We know a lot of farmlands have been flooded, and we'll lose some crops from the rainy season. So we want to make up for that. And it's not just the ministry, even the central bank, are involved in agricultural production. So we are banking on making sure that we do that. And the president is 100% behind the augmentation of food production, and we will do that. So I am assuring you again, there will be no food shortage. We are working on bringing down inflation.
The Agriculture Minister, however, noted that the Federal Executive Council approved the Agriculture and Rural Development Memo on the revised National Animal Health Policy. On his part, the Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, Clem Agba, disclosed that the Council also approved a sum of 14 billion naira for the purchase of residential accommodations for officers of Nigerian Customs Service and another 14.88 billion naira approval for construction of a new office for Federal Inland Revenue Service, the FIRS, in Lagos, with a completion period of 24 months.
This has to do with the welfare of the customs officers. So provision of residential accommodation, like you know, is a major incentive for officers and men towards improving their efficiency and productivity. Some of these officers are currently residing in hotels. Some stay back in the offices. And we think that that is not too good enough. And so the service intends to purchase an estate consisting of 274 housing units, and it's to the sum of 14.405 billion.
Meanwhile, Information Minister Lai Mohammed, on behalf of the Ministry of Aviation, said the ministry got approval for the award of contracts for the purchase of medical equipment and furniture for the ongoing construction of a prototype medical center at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport to the sum of 1 billion naira with a delivery period of 6 months.
So this, of course, will open up opportunities for the air transportation between the two countries in accordance with the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, the Convention of 7th December 1944, to which both countries are signatories. The second memo, it's approval for the award of contract for the engagement of consultant for revalidation and collection of aviation height clearance on behalf of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, and is at no cost to the budget because the revenues derived therefrom will be used to pay the consultants 0 to 1 billion, 7%, 1.1 billion to 2.5 billion, 5%, and then 2.5 billion, 5 billion is 3%. This aviation height clearance is extremely important to the safety of air operations.
The Department of State Services, the DSS, says it has commenced investigation into an allegation that its operatives at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos were involved in unprofessional conduct, particularly begging arriving passengers for cash before allowing them passage. Reacting to the development in a statement, DSS spokesman Peter Afunaya had confirmed that the attention of the DSS had been drawn to the allegation by one Balumi Olajengbesi that the services personnel at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos engaged in what he termed unprofessional conduct of sorts. Afunaya had assured that a full investigation into the matter has been launched, while it has further invited Olajengbesi and indeed any member of the public with an evidence in this regard to come forward to the service with search for appropriate action. You're still listening to the World News. Moving on to the foreign scene, Twitter has fired nearly all its staff in Ghana, which was home to its only office in Africa. According to Twitter's sack email, which did not address individual employees, the firm is reorganizing its operations as a result of a need to reduce costs. The layoffs were part of a global staff call introduced by new boss Elon Musk. The Ghana office was opened to some fanfare last year, with the company saying it wanted to be more immersed in African conversations. An anonymous employee told the BBC no redundancy was offered, unlike in some other countries, but their normal salary would be paid until the end of the contract at the beginning of next month. Kenya and South Africa have agreed to a reciprocal visa-free entry deal, which will be rolled out from next year, January. Applicants will get a maximum of 90 days annually. Currently, Kenyan nationals pay up to $40 and have to show proof of sufficient funds, as well as wait an average of 3 weeks for a 90-day South African visa. In contrast, South Africans do not require pre-departure visas to travel to Kenya. The new visa-free regime was announced after talks between President William Ruto and his South African counterpart Cyril Ramaphosa in Nairobi. Republicans and Democrats are in a tight race for control of the U.S. Congress a day after the midterms. The votes still being counted as at time of press. Republicans are favorites to win the House of Representatives, but the fight for the Senate is on a knife edge. Democrats have gained a key Senate seat in Pennsylvania, but 2 other contests remain too close and one is heading for a runoff vote next month. The economy and abortion were the biggest concerns for voters. In business news this morning, the legislative arm of the government has reassured Nigerians of its commitment in ensuring transparency and accountability in a bid to address the prevailing corrupt practices in the oil and gas sector. Declaring the Legislative Transparency and Accountability Summit Open in Abuja, organized by the House Committee on Anti-Corruption, the Senate President, represented by Senator Suleiman Abdullahi, the Chairman Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption, and the Speaker of the House, represented by the Deputy Leader, Honorable Peterson Akpatison, both decried the alarming rate of oil theft in the country and called for solution.
The oil sector accounting for close to 80% of our foreign exchange earning and up to 50%.
With experts participating at this summit, we are sure to study the issues from different dimensions, considering how our varied experiences can help in shaping our conclusions. We owe ourselves the duty to provide solutions that will help to present the future generations.
At a time of severe financial constraints, the perpetrators of this brazen heist threaten our ability to meet the demands of governance and nation building. Their action effectively amounts to treason against our country, for which they must be held accountable.
Speaking earlier, the chairman of the House Committee on Anti-Corruption, Honorable Shehu Garuba, who expressed delight over the signing of the Petroleum Industry Act, noted that the oil sector accounts for almost 80% foreign exchange earnings and up to 50% of the nation's total national revenue annually.
The oil sector accounting for close to 80% of our foreign exchange earning and up to 50% of our total national revenue annually. Anything that affects this sector will affect Nigeria as a country. It is in this regard that the signing of the PIA in 2021 by Mr. President was regarded as a watershed in the industry. In line with the pledge of the 9th House of Representatives to be at the forefront of promoting accountability and transparency in our national life.
Other stakeholders who spoke, namely the EFCC, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NETI, amongst others, said they will continue to cooperate with the legislature while being watchdogs in their capacity to help curb corrupt practices.
Although the passage of the PIA is a great achievement for our dear country, Nigeria is witnessed with the unbundling of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC. However, there must be continuous engagement and consultations among all stakeholders in order to maximize the full potentials of the new regime.
To effectively and significantly reduce the menace of IFFs from Nigeria, we have to focus on the extractive industry, especially the oil and gas sector. The first step is a new legal and regulatory framework which has been achieved with the passage of the PIA. But laws do not implement themselves.
We are available, the information is there, the data is there, and to support you with that information.
And now to sport news. Super Falcons striker Asisat Oshaala has added a new honour to her ever-growing shelf of laurels after she was honoured by the Women's International Champions Cup for her role in advancing women's soccer. The Barcelona forward, who was named at the 3rd annual WICC Best 11th on Monday, and Colombia and Deportivo Cali forward Linda Caicedo were the two footballers nominated for the prestigious awards alongside others. Oshaala is Nigeria's most decorated woman footballer in history. In August, she became the first African woman nominated for the Ballon d'Or. She is also the first African woman to play in the English League when she featured for Liverpool and Arsenal, winning the 2015 Women's FA Cup with the Gunners. Senegal forward Sadio Mane has been reportedly ruled out of the World Cup after limping out of Bayern Munich's win over Werder Bremen on Tuesday. Mane had to leave the pitch after 20 minutes of Bayern's big 6-1 victory, giving Senegal a huge World Cup scare. The German club say he is due to undergo medical tests in the next few days and are in communication with Senegal.
Lagos Talks
91.3.
News.